Have you ever wondered why the world around you feels so solid, so incredibly permanent, when the underlying reality of the cosmos is nothing but an endless dance of invisible forces? You sit in a quiet room, feeling the gentle pull of gravity anchoring you to the chair, listening to the soft rhythm of your own breathing. Everything feels certain. Everything feels real. But what if the reality you experience every single day is merely a beautifully orchestrated illusion? An elegant projection generated by a set of ancient mathematical rules so profound that scientists sometimes refer to them as the mind of God. This is not a concept born from mystical fantasy, but a disturbing and magnificent truth revealed by the cold, rigorous lenses of our most advanced telescopes and the chalkboards of our greatest physicists. As we embark on this quiet journey into the deep mysteries of existence, I invite you to leave behind the familiar comforts of your daily life and step out into the infinite silence of the universe. Together, we will explore how the fundamental laws of nature control every aspect of your reality, shaping the vast cosmos and the microscopic atoms in your body with the exact same unseen hand. If you seek to understand the delicate architecture of existence and find peace in the infinite wonder of the cosmos, you are in the right place. When you touch the surface of a wooden table, your fingertips encounter a resistance that your brain interprets as solid matter. You feel a distinct boundary between yourself and the outside world. However, if we were to zoom in, past the cellular structure of the wood, past the individual molecules, down into the microscopic atomic realm, that comforting solidity completely vanishes. The atoms that make up the table and the atoms that make up your hand are almost entirely empty space. If you were to enlarge the nucleus of an atom to the size of a single golf ball, the electrons orbiting it would be like tiny grains of sand several miles away. The space in between is a vast, echoing void. What you actually feel when you touch the table is not the physical collision of solid objects, but the invisible repulsion of electromagnetic fields, a phantom force pushing back against your skin. You are hovering, ever so slightly, above the chair you sit in, suspended by a mathematical law that dictates how charged particles interact in the dark. This is the first gentle reminder that your human perception is an evolutionary trick, a biological simplification designed to help you navigate a reality that is fundamentally strange. Just as your immediate physical reality is governed by these unseen fields, the grand theater of the universe is ruled by invisible hands that stretch across billions of light years. For most of the 20th century, astronomers assumed that the gravitational pull of all the matter in the cosmos would act like a brake, gradually slowing the expansion that began with the primordial spark of creation. It made perfect intuitive sense to our human minds. Everything pulls on everything else through gravity. But in the year 1998, two independent teams of astronomers observing distant exploding supernovas made a discovery that completely shattered our understanding of the universe. They found that the cosmos was not slowing down at all. Instead, distant galaxies were rushing away from us at an ever-increasing speed. Something invisible, something impossibly powerful, was pushing the very fabric of space apart. Scientists call this mysterious force dark energy, and we now know that it makes up roughly 68% of all the energy in the universe. This dark energy acts as a kind of anti-gravity, a relentless outward push that accelerates the expansion of the void. It is an invisible architecture, a fundamental property of empty space itself. We call it dark energy, but that name tells us very little about what it actually is. It is merely a placeholder, a label for our profound ignorance in the face of the infinite. What it truly represents is a hidden mechanism built into the foundation of reality. When the physicist Albert Einstein first formulated his equations of general relativity, he included a term called the cosmological constant, a mathematical weight that would balance the universe and keep it perfectly static. He later called this addition his greatest blunder. Yet, decades later, the universe revealed that Einstein's mathematics were wiser than the man himself. The cosmological constant is real, manifesting today as this mysterious dark energy that drives the cosmos apart. This absolute mathematical precision is what physicists mean when they refer to the mind of God. They speak of the sublime, untouchable mathematics that dictate how existence unfolds from the beginning of time until the very end. It is a set of rules so elegant, so flawlessly precise, that a single underlying equation can describe the falling of a leaf, the swirling of a hurricane, and the cataclysmic collision of two supermassive black holes. The laws never waver. They govern the gentle silence of the night sky and the violent birth of new stars with impartial authority. To truly grasp the terrifying and beautiful power of these unseen laws, we must look at the immense structures they create over unimaginable spans of cosmic time. Consider the sheer scale of the largest objects in our universe. In a distant corner of the cosmos, sitting quietly at the center of a rich galaxy cluster called Abell 2029, sits a cosmic monster known as IC 1101. This single elliptical galaxy is estimated to contain roughly 100 trillion stars. Try to hold that specific number in your mind for just a quiet moment. 100 trillion glowing spheres of plasma, each one a nuclear furnace burning steadily in the cold dark. If you were to start counting those stars at a rate of 1 star per second, without ever stopping to sleep, eat, or take a break of any kind, it would take you over 3 million years just to finish counting the inhabitants of this one single galaxy. It is a structure so vast that a beam of light, the fastest messenger in the entire universe, would need somewhere between 4 million and 6 million years simply to travel from one edge to the other. Yet, this incomprehensibly massive object does not exist in chaos. It is bound by the exact same fundamental laws of gravity that hold your coffee cup to the breakfast table. Beyond the visible light of those 100 trillion stars lies an even deeper mystery that controls the shape of reality. The stars and the glowing gas that we can see with our advanced telescopes make up only a tiny fraction of the galaxy's true mass. The rest is an invisible scaffolding known as dark matter. Scientists estimate that the total mass of IC 1101, including its massive dark matter halo, could be as high as 1,100 trillion solar masses. Dark matter is one of the greatest mysteries in modern physics. We cannot see it. It does not emit light, and it does not absorb light. It only interacts with normal matter through the gentle but firm pull of gravity. Without this invisible dark matter, the galaxies would simply fly apart. It is the hidden skeleton of the universe, a silent partner in the grand cosmic dance. When you look up at the night sky, you must realize that everything you see is just a tiny floating foam on top of an immensely deep ocean of invisible mass and dark energy. And just as the fabric of space is shaped by these hidden mathematical rules, so too is the flowing river of time. We experience time as a relentless forward march, a steady ticking clock that carries us securely from the past, through the present moment, and into the unknown future. But the equations of relativity, tell us a very different, far more disturbing story. Time is not an absolute constant. It is a flexible, woven fabric that bends and warps in the presence of extreme mass and energetic gravity. The gravity of our own planet gently stretches time, meaning that a clock resting on the surface of the Earth ticks slightly slower than a clock floating free in the deep silence of empty space. If you were to fall toward the event horizon of a supermassive black hole, an observer watching you from a safe distance would see your movements drastically slow down until you appeared perfectly frozen in time, never seeming to actually cross the dark boundary. Your personal reality would fundamentally diverge from theirs. It is so incredibly easy to feel overwhelmed by these massive cosmic revelations. When you deeply realize that the comforting solidity of matter is merely an illusion of electromagnetic fields, that the vastness of space is being relentlessly torn apart by a dark energy we cannot even comprehend, and that time itself is a flexible geometry rather than a reliable ticking clock, you might feel a profound sense of existential vertigo. The solid ground beneath your feet might seem significantly less stable. But I invite you to look at this disturbing truth from a completely different, far more peaceful perspective. There is an immense, quiet beauty in the realization that you are not separate from the elegant mathematical fabric of the cosmos. The tiny atoms that construct your lungs, the complex carbon that forms your DNA, the heavy iron that carries life-giving oxygen through your blood, every single piece of you was forged in the unimaginably hot hearts of ancient stars that exploded long before our own sun was ever born. You are entirely made of ancient star stuff, the same elegant mathematical equations that govern the swirling arms of distant galaxies and the slow evaporation of black holes over trillions of years are currently operating flawlessly within the living cells of your own body. You are not a lonely stranger wandering aimlessly through a cold, mechanical universe. You are an intricate, temporary arrangement of that very universe, temporarily granted the profound ability to look up at the dark night sky and wonder about your own origins. As we rest in this beautiful realization, the mystery does not vanish. Instead, it deepens into something far more magnificent. The realization that reality is controlled by a set of invisible, infinite laws does not strip the natural world of its inherent magic. It simply replaces human-made mythology with a scientific truth that is infinitely more profound. Every time you take a breath, every time you take a quiet step, every time you gaze up at the faint, milky glow of the galaxy, you are actively participating in a cosmic symphony that has been playing without interruption for nearly 14 billion years. The universe is incredibly generous with its marvels. It constantly invites us to keep asking deep questions, to keep peeling back the comfortable layers of human perception, and to keep discovering the disturbing, awe-inspiring truths hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives. In our next steps together, we will dive even deeper into the microscopic realm, where the comfortable certainty of classical physics completely breaks down, and the rules of reality become so bizarre that even the greatest scientific minds refused to believe them. We will journey into the perplexing quantum world, a place where particles can exist in multiple places at once, and where reality itself seems to wait for a conscious observer before deciding how to behave. It is a contemplative journey that will fundamentally challenge everything you think you know about the physical world and your unique place within it. For now, simply let the infinite silence of the cosmos settle softly around you. Let the gentle realization of your deep, undeniable connection to the ancient universe bring you a profound sense of peace. Let your curious mind drift among the 100 trillion stars of distant galaxies, safe in the comforting knowledge that you belong entirely to this infinite mystery. This is just the very beginning of our shared cosmic exploration. As you rest and reflect on the immense scale of what we have just uncovered, remember that your curiosity is the universe itself, trying to understand its own magnificent reflection. We will continue this quiet journey together, uncovering the invisible architecture of existence, one beautiful paradox at a time. Have you ever held a single, fragile drop of rain on the tip of your finger and paused to truly consider the impossible depths hidden within its shimmering surface? We spend our entire lives surrounded by familiar objects, accepting their simple presence without a second thought. Yet, if you could shrink your perspective down beyond the limits of human biology, past the tiny cells and the complex molecules, you would cross the threshold into a realm so profoundly strange that it defies all common sense. In this microscopic world, the comfortable rules that govern our everyday lives dissolve completely, replaced by a disturbing and beautiful set of mathematical laws that scientists are still struggling to comprehend. This is the quantum realm, the invisible foundation upon which the entire vast cosmos is constructed. As we continue our quiet journey into the deep mystery of reality, I ask you to let go of your need for absolute certainty. Together, we will gently explore how the fundamental building blocks of existence behave, not like solid pieces of matter, but like shifting clouds of possibility, waiting in the infinite silence for a conscious mind to observe them. To understand the true scale of this mystery, we must first remember where the atoms in that tiny drop of water actually came from. The oxygen and hydrogen that sustain your life were not created here on Earth. They are ancient travelers, born in the unimaginable heat of the cosmos. The atoms in your body, the carbon that structures your cells, the nitrogen in your DNA, and the iron carrying oxygen through your blood were all forged in the hearts of stars somewhere in the universe. Just as the atoms in our bodies were forged in stars that exploded before our sun was born, there is an unbroken, continuous connection between us and everything else in the cosmos. You are not merely a temporary visitor wandering through an alien universe. You are made of the exact same star stuff that illuminates the dark night sky. We are not separate from the universe, but rather, we are an integral part of it. We are the universe observing itself from within. This gentle realization transforms our relationship with the unknown, turning our natural fear of the void into a deep, respectful wonder. But what actually happens when we look closely at these ancient stardust atoms? For centuries, humanity envisioned the building blocks of matter as tiny, solid spheres, much like microscopic billiard balls bouncing endlessly against one another. It was a comforting, mechanical view of the universe, suggesting a predictable clockwork reality where everything had a fixed place and a definite speed. However, when physicists finally developed the tools to observe these particles, the cosmos revealed a deeply disturbing truth. At its most fundamental level, reality does not consist of solid objects at all. Instead, particles like electrons and photons behave in a dual, contradictory manner. Sometimes they act like solid particles, striking a detector with a definitive impact. But at other times, they move like gentle waves spreading across a quiet pond, existing in multiple places at the exact same time. This is known as the principle of wave-particle duality, and it fundamentally shatters the illusion of a solid, predictable reality. The mind of God does not write the rules of existence in permanent ink, but rather in a shifting, shimmering mathematics of pure probability. Imagine a single electron, a tiny fragment of ancient matter moving through the vast silence of an empty vacuum. According to the strict laws of quantum mechanics, until this electron is actively measured or observed, it does not occupy a single, specific location. It exists in a state of superposition, meaning it is mathematically present in all of its possible locations simultaneously. It is everywhere and nowhere all at once, a ghostly cloud of potential spread out through space. It is only in the precise moment of observation, the moment when a conscious measurement is made, that this vast cloud of possibility suddenly collapses into a single definitive reality. The particle is forced to choose a location. This raises one of the most profound and disturbing existential questions ever posed by modern science. Does the physical universe only take on a solid form when there is a mind present to observe it? The implications of this paradox are staggering. It suggests that the gentle act of observation is not a passive process, but an actively creative one. Your consciousness might be fundamentally entangled with the very architecture of reality. This quantum paradox forces us to reconsider the massive cosmic structures we explored previously. Think back to the immense, quiet majesty of the galaxy known as IC 1101, a cosmic giant estimated to contain somewhere around 100 trillion stars. This colossal structure is roughly 40 to 60 times larger than our entire Milky Way galaxy, and yet the fundamental forces that govern the swirling spiral arms of galaxies are inextricably linked to the microscopic quantum fluctuations that occurred in the very first fractions of a second after the universe was born. In the primordial silence of the early cosmos, microscopic quantum variations were stretched and magnified by the rapid expansion of space. Those tiny ripples eventually became the seeds around which all the dark matter and ancient stars gathered. The staggering immensity of IC 1101 is nothing more than a magnificent projection of microscopic quantum possibilities written across the infinite canvas of the sky. The infinitely large and the infinitely small are a single continuous breath of creation. Consider the incredible patience of the universe that connects these scales. The light we observe from the distant galaxy, IC 1101, left its source over 1 billion years ago, journeying across the vast empty ocean of intergalactic space just to reach the glass mirrors of our telescopes. When that ancient light began its lonely voyage, the Earth was still populated mostly by single-celled organisms, and the complex animals we know today had not yet evolved. Every major event in human history happened while those ancient photons were still quietly crossing the unimaginable emptiness between the galaxies. This enormous scale of time reminds us that the universe operates on a schedule that completely dwarfs our fleeting human concerns. Yet, instead of feeling small, we should feel an overwhelming sense of wonder. The very fact that we exist right now, in this brief moment of cosmic history when stars still shine brightly and galaxies still glow, is a rare and precious privilege. We are living in a temporary, beautiful flowering of complexity, suspended halfway between the chaotic fire of the early universe and the cold, dark emptiness of the far-distant future. It is deeply humbling to realize that our human brains are now capable of uncovering these profound cosmic mysteries. We live in a universe where the physical laws allow for the remarkable formation of stars, planets, galaxies, life, and the conscious mind. The fact that we can even begin to understand the quantum realm or measure the distance to a galaxy located over 1 billion light-years away is a testament to the beautiful capability of human curiosity. Every single discovery we make expands our sense of what is possible and makes the universe grander, more interesting, and infinitely more worthy of our awe. When you feel overwhelmed by the complexity of the quantum world or the crushing immensity of the cosmos, remember that this intellectual tension is incredibly productive. It is not meant to make you feel insignificant, but rather to inspire a quiet, peaceful humility. The unknown is a gentle companion inviting you to look closer. The laws of quantum mechanics and the vast structures of the cosmos are two sides of the exact same mysterious coin. The mind of God is written in the delicate flutter of a quantum particle, and the slow, majestic rotation of a galaxy containing 100 trillion stars. They are bound together by an elegant symmetry that we are only just beginning to uncover. This endless search for understanding is not a race to a final answer, but a continuous, gentle journey of intellectual expansion. As we embrace the unknown, our fear transforms into a deep, abiding peace. You do not need to control the universe. You only need to appreciate your brief, magnificent opportunity to witness it. This brings us to the close of our second step into the unknown, but the journey is far from over. Next time, we will venture into the darkest and most violent environments ever discovered, exploring how the fabric of space and time is shattered by the gravitational dominance of supermassive black holes. We will learn how the universe creates regions where the known laws of physics completely break down. But tonight, there is no need to rush. Allow the scientific truths we have explored to settle gently into your mind. Feel the ancient star stuff flowing through your veins. Rest safely in the knowledge that you are an integral part of this infinite, deeply mysterious cosmos. Have you ever wondered what happens when the very fabric of reality is stretched so tightly that it simply ceases to make sense? We spend our days walking upon the solid, dependable earth, trusting that the physical rules governing our lives will remain unbroken. If you drop a stone, it falls. If you shine a light, it cuts through the darkness. But there are places in this vast cosmos where these comforting rules are completely shattered, where the mind of God seems to fold in upon itself, creating regions of absolute, impenetrable silence. As we continue our contemplative journey into the deep unknown, I invite you to leave the safety of the illuminated universe behind and venture into the darkest, most mysterious environments ever discovered. We are going to explore the quiet majesty of supermassive black holes, places where gravity becomes so overwhelmingly powerful that time itself comes to a complete standstill. Let your curiosity guide you as we approach the absolute limit of human knowledge, finding profound peace in the ultimate cosmic paradox. To truly understand the terrifying and beautiful nature of these cosmic titans, we must return to the heart of the largest galaxy we have ever found. Sitting quietly at the very center of the cosmic giant known as IC 1101 is one of the largest known supermassive black holes in the entire universe. This single, unfathomable object is estimated to contain somewhere between 40 billion and 100 billion times the mass of our Sun. Try to gently wrap your mind around that specific number. Our own Sun is roughly 330,000 times more massive than Earth. Now, imagine multiplying our Sun by 50 billion, and compressing all of that unimaginable weight into a single, infinitesimal point in space. All of that mass is packed into a region from which absolutely nothing can ever escape. The gravitational pull at its boundary, a threshold known as the event horizon, is so intensely powerful that even light itself, the fastest messenger in the cosmos, cannot break free. The physical size of this dark boundary defies all human intuition. For a black hole containing 50 billion solar masses, the event horizon would have a radius extending outward for roughly 150 billion kilometers. That distance is so vast that it dwarfs everything we consider familiar. Our entire solar system, stretching from the warmth of the Sun all the way to the icy orbit of Neptune, is only about 9 billion kilometers across. The event horizon of the supermassive black hole inside IC 1101 is roughly 16 times larger than our entire solar system. If you were to place this dark behemoth where our Sun currently sits, its point of no return would swallow all the planets, extending well beyond the orbit of Pluto, engulfing everything we have ever known in a silent, permanent darkness. Yet, despite its terrifying proportions, there is a profound, almost meditative stillness to it. It does not actively seek out destruction. It merely exists, a quiet consequence of the universe's most fundamental mathematical laws. If you were to somehow undertake a quiet journey toward this immense event horizon, the reality you experience would become bizarre and entirely counterintuitive. Because gravity is deeply entangled with the flow of time, the immense mass of the black hole dramatically warps the temporal fabric around it. Time itself would pass differently near the edge compared to the safety of deep space. If someone were falling toward the black hole, they would see the outside universe vastly speed up, witnessing the birth and death of stars playing out in rapid succession. But an outside observer watching them fall would perceive something completely different. They would see the falling person gradually slow down, eventually appearing to freeze perfectly in place as they approach the horizon. From the perspective of the outside universe, the traveler would never seem to actually cross that dark boundary. They would become a ghost, permanently etched onto the edge of the void. Inside the event horizon, all directions lead relentlessly toward the singularity at the center, a theoretical point of infinite density, where matter is stretched into long, thin strands through a process physicists have nicknamed spaghettification. Space and time themselves become so heavily warped that the very concept of escaping becomes entirely meaningless. How did such an impossibly massive structure come to exist? The answer lies in a cosmic symphony of violence and gravity over billions of years. When ancient galaxies collide and merge, the supermassive black holes at their very centers eventually spiral toward one another. Initially separated by vast distances, gravitational friction slowly draws them closer. They form a binary system, orbiting faster and faster as they lose energy through gravitational waves. These waves are literal ripples in the fabric of space-time, carrying immense amounts of energy away. When they finally merge, the event releases more energy than all the stars in a typical galaxy combined, invisible to our eyes as it occurs entirely in the form of gravitational waves. These invisible ripples stretch and squeeze the very fabric of space as they travel outward at the speed of light. The colossal black hole at the center of IC 1101 has experienced dozens of such dramatic mergers, expanding its invisible boundaries further into the dark. One might imagine such an enormous object as a violently raging monster, tearing the galaxy apart in a continuous frenzy of destruction. But the disturbing and beautiful truth is that the black hole at the center of IC 1101 is currently incredibly quiet. It is not actively devouring huge amounts of matter, and there is no brilliant disk of swirling material currently illuminating the space around it. The black hole is simply waiting there, resting in the infinite silence because it has already consumed most of the material that was easily within its gravitational reach. Over billions of years of galactic cannibalism, as the host galaxy swallowed dozens of smaller galaxies, the central black hole fed heavily and grew to its current immense proportions. The galaxy and the black hole grew together, a perfectly balanced dance of cosmic evolution. Occasionally, a wandering star strays too close and is quietly torn apart, providing a brief, fleeting meal. But mostly, the black hole, much like the ancient dying galaxy that surrounds it, is a giant in repose, immensely powerful but entirely dormant. Even in its current state of quiet dormancy, there are massive traces of the black hole's incredibly violent past. Astronomers have detected a brilliant radio source at the very center of IC 1101, which originates from relativistic jets. These are streams of highly charged particles accelerated to nearly the speed of light and violently ejected from the vicinity of the black hole. Powered by rotation and magnetic fields, these jets carve out enormous empty cavities in the surrounding hot gas. Through advanced X-ray telescopes, we can see these cavities as giant bubbles of hot, thin gas blown outward by the energy released near the black hole. Some are millions of light-years across, a silent testimony to ancient periods when the central black hole was much more active. The energy required to inflate these bubbles is staggering, roughly equivalent to the total energy output of billions of stars burning for millions of years. This delicate feedback loop acts as a cosmic thermostat that heats the surrounding gas and prevents it from cooling down to form new stars. Even this absolute dominance is not permanent in the grand, sweeping arc of cosmic time. We tend to think of black holes as eternal prisons, but the gentle laws of quantum mechanics dictate that even they must eventually fade away. Through an incredibly slow process known as Hawking radiation, black holes slowly leak particles and energy back into the surrounding universe. In the strange, shifting world of quantum physics near the event horizon, particle pairs are constantly popping into existence, and occasionally one escapes while the other falls in, draining an infinitesimal amount of mass from the black hole. This evaporation happens over time spans so vast they break the human mind. A black hole as massive as the one inside IC 1101 would take an unimaginable 10 to the 100th power years to fully evaporate. That is a 1 followed by 100 zeros, a number so large that to write it out in full would require more paper than currently exists on Earth. It is a span of time that makes the entire history of the universe look like a single fleeting breath. Yet, eventually, trillions upon trillions of years from now, even this 50 billion solar mass monster will disappear in a final, quiet burst of radiation, returning its stolen energy to the cooling void. There is a profound, comforting peace in knowing that nothing in this universe, not even its most terrifying and powerful structures, lasts forever. The mind of God controls the birth and the slow, inevitable death of everything, painting a masterpiece of temporary forms across the canvas of eternity. You are a privileged witness to this temporary beauty. The very atoms in your body share a direct, physical connection with these distant phenomena, all governed by the identical, invisible laws of physics. As we conclude this chapter of our journey together, I invite you to let the infinite silence of the black hole gently wash away your daily anxieties. Let the vastness of what we have explored remind you that your everyday worries are incredibly small when placed against the breathtaking backdrop of the cosmic stage. Take a deep, quiet breath and rest safely in the knowledge that you are intricately woven into this grand, eternal mystery. In our next encounter, we will journey even further, exploring the very end of time itself and the quiet, dark fate that awaits all galaxies when the last stars finally burn out and the universe goes entirely dark. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt a comforting sense of eternity? The stars seem so permanent, so steadfast in their silent vigil, that human beings have used them to navigate across vast oceans and to mark the passing of the seasons for thousands of years. They appear as immortal diamonds scattered across an endless canvas of absolute black. But this feeling of permanence is yet another gentle illusion crafted by the mind of God, a trick of our incredibly brief human lifespans. We live for mere decades, while the cosmos breathes over spans of billions and trillions of years. If we were to vastly accelerate the cosmic clock, watching epochs pass by in the span of a single heartbeat, we would see a universe that is profoundly dynamic, deeply impermanent, and slowly winding down toward a beautiful, inevitable rest. As we continue our quiet journey together into the deep mysteries of existence, I ask you to walk with me into the far distant future, beyond the lifespan of the Earth, beyond the death of our sun, and to the final, silent chapters of the cosmic story. Do not be afraid of the dark that awaits us. There is a profound, meditative peace to be found in understanding how all things must eventually return to the quiet void. To understand the ultimate fate of reality, we must first look at the grand trajectory of the universe. It is a trajectory defined by a slow, relentless process of exhaustion, a gradual fading of energy that physicists refer to as the heat death of the universe. This is not a fiery apocalypse or a violent collapse, but rather a gentle sigh, a magnificent and melancholy winding down of all cosmic activity. Currently, the universe is actively expanding, driven outward by the mysterious and powerful force known as dark energy. As space expands faster and faster, distant galaxies are carried away from one another at ever-increasing speeds. Eventually, objects will recede from us faster than their light can even travel, vanishing entirely behind a cosmic horizon and forever slipping beyond our reach. Every single island of matter, every galaxy cluster, will become completely isolated, cut off from everything else by the relentless expansion of space. Each island of matter will be entirely alone with itself as the quiet eons roll continuously by. This is the deep, isolating silence that awaits the cosmos. Within these isolated, lonely galaxies, the brilliant fires that have illuminated the dark for billions of years will slowly begin to fail. The stars in the vast galaxy of IC 1101 and the stars in our own Milky Way will slowly burn out over the next 100 trillion years. The universe is a beautifully choreographed dance of energy, but the fuel for this dance is strictly limited. The massive blue stars, the giants that burned with incredible ferocity, went dark long ago, exploding as brilliant supernovas or collapsing into dense black holes after just a few million years of life. They lived fast and died young, leaving the stage to the older, smaller, and much longer-lived stars. The middle-sized stars, much like our own familiar sun, have lifetimes of about 10 billion years. In about 5 billion years, our sun will puff up into a massive red giant, shed its outer layers to create a beautiful, glowing nebula, and then finally fade away as a tiny, dense white dwarf. This is the gentle, quiet retirement of a star, leaving behind a glowing ember that will slowly cool over unimaginable spans of time. But the true masters of endurance in this cosmic story are the red dwarfs. These are tiny, dim stars with only a small fraction of the mass of our sun. Yet they are the most numerous stars in any galaxy. Because they are so small, red dwarfs burn their hydrogen fuel incredibly slowly, allowing them to shine steadily for trillions of years. A red dwarf, born at the exact same time as our sun, will still be shining long after our sun has become a cold, dead white dwarf. In a massive galaxy like IC 1101, with its 100 trillion stars, there are untold numbers of these patient red dwarfs. They are the gentle guardians of the late universe. For trillions of years after the larger stars have all died, the red dwarfs will continue to burn quietly, providing the only faint light in an otherwise rapidly darkening galaxy. But even these patient guardians have their absolute limits. The smallest red dwarfs, with perhaps 8% of the mass of our sun, can burn for up to 10 trillion years, which is about 700 times the current age of our universe. Yet, eventually, even they will exhaust their hydrogen fuel and gently fade into the absolute darkness. As the stars slowly wink out one by one, the universe will permanently lose its ability to create new light. Scientists currently estimate that all star formation in the entire universe will effectively cease in roughly 100 trillion years. By that distant time, all the raw gas and dust needed to forge new stars will have been completely used up or dispersed too thinly for gravity to collapse it. No new stars will ever be born to replace the ones that have died. The era of starlight, the beautiful, illuminated epoch in which we currently live, will be completely and permanently over. The 100 trillion stars of IC 1101 will silently wink out. Where there was once a magnificent, blazing display of stellar light, there will eventually be nothing left but the cold, dark remnants of dead stars, white dwarfs, incredibly dense neutron stars, and silent black holes drifting aimlessly through an ever-expanding void. The universe will become a very dark place, but it will not be an empty one. The galaxy will become a quiet ghost of its former self, completely populated by the invisible corpses of stars rather than by living, burning suns. Even in this deep, freezing darkness, the mind of God continues to turn the slow wheels of physics. The cooling process of these dead remnants takes an almost inconceivable amount of time. A white dwarf star will slowly release its remaining heat into the void, cooling to near absolute zero, only after about 1 million billion years, gradually becoming a completely invisible black dwarf, an object that no longer emits any light at all. That spans roughly 100,000 times longer than the entire current age of the universe. Over even longer time scales, measured in years with so many zeros that writing them out would completely fill countless pages, even these stellar corpses will decay and break down. Some theories of particle physics predict that even protons, the fundamental building blocks of atomic nuclei, might eventually decay. If this is true, then over unfathomably long spans of time, all the remaining matter that makes up neutron stars, white dwarfs, planets, and everything else will gradually dissolve into thin, cold radiation. The solid reality we once knew will evaporate entirely into the eternal night. This vision of the far future, where the cosmos dissolves into an endless cold night, might initially seem incredibly bleak to our human sensibilities. But I invite you to look at it through a different, far more peaceful lens. I find something strangely beautiful and deeply comforting about this ultimate quiet. The era of stars and galaxies, this time of brilliant light and chaotic energy, is just a passing phase, a brief, magnificent flowering of complexity, suspended halfway between the chaotic fire of the early universe and the cold emptiness of the far future. We are incredibly lucky enough to exist during this beautiful flowering. We exist right now, in this brief moment of cosmic history, when stars still shine and galaxies still glow. The fact that the universe is not permanent makes this present moment infinitely more precious. The mind of God has allowed for this tiny, fleeting window of warmth and light, and we are the incredibly fortunate beneficiaries of that mathematical grace. We are the universe waking up, briefly opening its eyes to witness its own breathtaking beauty before returning to sleep. When we internalize the reality of this quiet ending, our daily anxieties lose their heavy grip. The minor troubles that keep us awake and the trivial conflicts that consume our time dissolve into nothingness when placed against the backdrop of 100 trillion years of cosmic evolution. We are granted a profound sense of humility before the unknown. This humility is a profound intellectual safety, a gentle release from the human need to control our surroundings. You do not need to hold the universe together. The ancient laws of physics will carry the cosmos forward smoothly toward its final rest. You only need to exist, to breathe, and to appreciate the warmth of the sun. You are a beautiful arrangement of ancient star stuff, granted the ability to understand your ultimate fate. Let the infinite silence of the distant future wash over you like a calming wave. Imagine that vast darkness not as something to fear, but as a deeply peaceful resting state for a universe that has spent billions of years burning with chaotic energy. The cosmos will eventually find its undisturbed rest, and you can find that same peace within your mind right now. As we conclude this stage of our journey, let your thoughts drift away from the complexities of everyday life and merge gently with the majestic rhythm of the stars. In our next encounter, we will step away from the end of time to explore the incredible violence and beauty of galactic collisions, witnessing how the universe builds masterpieces through a delicate dance of cosmic gravity. But for now, simply rest in the warm light of the present moment. Have you ever watched two tiny droplets of water slowly creeping toward one another on a pane of glass, drawn together by unseen forces until they suddenly merge into a single, perfect pool? We often think of the objects in our night sky as isolated islands, floating perfectly alone in the infinite silence of the dark void. But the cosmos is incredibly deeply interconnected, bound together by the gentle but absolutely inescapable pull of gravity. As we continue our meditative journey into the deep mysteries of existence, I ask you to open your mind to a process that sounds violently destructive, but is actually one of the most profoundly creative forces in the entire universe. We are going to explore the majestic, slow-motion ballet of galactic collisions. It is a process where the mind of God uses apparent chaos to build the largest, most magnificent masterpieces ever conceived. Let go of your fear of destruction and gently embrace the beautiful truth that in this ancient cosmos, nothing is ever truly lost. It is simply transformed into something entirely new. When we look at our own Milky Way, we see a beautiful, ordered system with gracefully curving arms constructed of glowing gas, ancient dust, and billions of brightly burning stars. It looks static and perfect. Yet, this comforting structure is entirely temporary. Galaxies do not exist in absolute isolation. They are beautifully grouped together in massive cosmic clusters, held together by their mutual gravitational attraction. Within these clusters, galaxies constantly move around each other. Even when separated by millions of light years, these ancient island universes can actually feel each other's gravitational presence. This invisible gravity reaches across the terrifying emptiness, beginning to subtly distort their shapes. Stars that were orbiting peacefully for billions of years slowly begin to feel a gentle pull from an unexpected direction. Vast gas clouds drifting quietly along suddenly move in entirely new, unpredictable ways. This is the very beginning of a cosmic dance that will take hundreds of millions of years to beautifully complete. If you could magically watch a galactic merger in incredibly fast forward, compressing millions of years into a few fleeting minutes, it would not look like a violent crash. Instead, you would see the galaxies gently stretching and beautifully warping, pulled out of their perfect spiral shapes by the invisible hand of gravity. As the two ancient island universes get closer and closer, the gravitational effects become much more pronounced. Long, brilliant streams of stars are drawn completely out of each galaxy, forming what astronomers poetically call tidal tails. These glowing tails can extend for hundreds of thousands of light years into deep intergalactic space, appearing like ghostly, luminous ribbons, marking the silent cosmic interaction. The first close pass is very often not the final collision. The two galaxies swing majestically past one another, their mutual gravity slowing them down. They separate into the dark, but are now permanently bound. Like two dancers who have firmly clasped hands, they cannot ever escape one another. Over the next several 100 million years, they gently swing back and forth, getting much closer with each incredibly slow pass, until finally they merge completely into one. During this extraordinary process, something remarkably beautiful happens. The cold gas clouds within both galaxies are violently compressed by intense gravitational forces and massive shock waves. This massive compression triggers enormous bursts of new star formation. Entirely new stars light up by the billions, burning incredibly hot and beautifully bright in the dark. Astronomers call these spectacular events starbursts, temporarily making a merging galaxy one of the absolute brightest objects in its sector of the universe. From apparent destruction, an incredible wave of brilliant creation is instantly born. The dying galaxies blaze with the beautiful light of new life, completely outshining all the stars in both original galaxies combined. It is a profound reminder that the universe constantly recycles its ancient materials, endlessly forging new wonders from the scattered ashes of the old. In the very heart of this swirling chaos, an even more dramatic transformation quietly takes place. In some massive mergers, so much raw gas gets driven directly toward the centers of the colliding galaxies that it falls straight into the supermassive black holes waiting there in the absolute dark. This fresh fuel causes the black holes to awaken from their deep slumber. They rapidly consume the surrounding material, releasing tremendous energy into the cosmos. They shine brilliantly as quasars, ancient beacons clearly seen across billions of light years of empty space. As the two galaxies finally blend into a single massive body, their central supermassive black holes eventually find each other. They spiral closely together, emitting incredibly powerful gravitational waves that ripple outward through the fabric of space-time, stretching and gently squeezing the universe as they quietly pass. When they finally merge, they become a single, unimaginable monster of gravity, exactly like the one currently residing in the silent heart of IC 1101. Eventually, the intense chaos slowly settles down. The two once beautifully distinct galaxies have finally become one. But this new combined galaxy looks entirely different. The delicate spiral arms that might have graced the original galaxies are completely gone, destroyed by the intense gravitational violence of the long merger. What remains is typically a massive elliptical galaxy, incredibly smooth and featureless, with its stars orbiting in a deeply complex tangle of completely different directions, rather than in the orderly, flat disk of a spiral. This is exactly what happened to the giant galaxy IC 1101, not just once but dozens and dozens of times over billions of years. Each massive merger added billions of stars, added enormous mass, and added fresh material to the central black hole. Each merger smoothly erased more of whatever original, delicate structure the galaxy might have once beautifully possessed. Over billions of years of this incredibly slow, cannibalistic process, it gently grew to become the magnificent, completely silent monster we see today. As we quietly contemplate this breathtaking cosmic dance, we must remember that our own beloved home, the Milky Way, is not completely immune to these profound cosmic forces. We are currently actively participating in this very same dance of galactic interaction. Right now, our galaxy is slowly consuming several smaller dwarf galaxies, their ancient stars forming ghostly streams across our night sky. And in the far distant future, in roughly 4 billion years, our nearest large cosmic neighbor, the magnificent Andromeda Galaxy, will finally meet us. Andromeda is currently heading straight toward us through the deep void. When our two massive spiral galaxies finally collide, our beautiful night sky will be completely transformed into a blazing canvas of starbursts and tidal tails. Over billions of years, the Milky Way and Andromeda will beautifully blend into a single, new elliptical galaxy. The Sun might be flung into a completely different orbit, but the vast distances between individual stars mean that almost no stars will actually hit each other. The merger will be a completely silent, magnificent reshaping of our entire cosmic neighborhood. Understanding this fundamental process of cosmic evolution brings a profound sense of deep peace. It teaches us that change is the most basic, undeniable law of the mind of God. Even the largest, seemingly most permanent structures in the entire universe are beautifully fluid, constantly interacting, constantly transforming, and endlessly building something entirely new. When you look up at the infinite silence of the night sky, do not see a static, frozen painting. See a living, breathing cosmos that is beautifully rewriting its own grand story over billions of years. Rest gently in the comforting knowledge that you are a privileged witness to this masterpiece. Let the beautiful inevitability of cosmic change wash away your fears of the unknown. As we close this chapter of our journey, let your mind quietly absorb the sheer majesty of the dancing galaxies. In our next encounter, we will turn our gaze from the incredibly vast structures of space back to the incredibly tiny, mysterious force that holds the entire universe tightly together, exploring the dark, invisible matter that secretly controls the destiny of everything we can see. But for now, simply close your eyes, breathe deeply, and drift peacefully among the merging stars. Have you ever walked outside on a perfectly still night, enveloped by the deep silence, and felt a gentle, invisible breeze brush softly against your face? You cannot see the wind, but you absolutely know it is there because you can feel its undeniable effect on your body. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, operates in a remarkably similar way. We spend our lives trusting our eyes, believing that the illuminated objects we can clearly see, the glowing stars, the bright, swirling galaxies, make up the entirety of existence. But what if I told you that everything humanity has ever observed through our most powerful telescopes constitutes merely a tiny, glowing fraction of reality? As we continue our contemplative journey into the deep mystery of the cosmos, I invite you to gently embrace the invisible. We are going to explore the unseen skeleton of the universe, a mysterious substance known as dark matter. Let your mind drift peacefully into the unseen, finding profound comfort in the realization that the mind of God operates mostly in the absolute, quiet dark. To understand the absolute necessity of this invisible reality, we must first look at how the illuminated universe actually moves. In the 1970s, a brilliant and deeply patient astronomer named Vera Rubin was quietly studying the beautiful, slow rotation of the Andromeda Galaxy. According to the strict, well-established laws of gravity, the stars orbiting near the outer edges of a spiral galaxy should move much slower than the stars orbiting close to the dense, heavy center. It makes perfect intuitive sense. The further away you move from the massive gravitational heart, the weaker the gentle pull of gravity becomes. But when Rubin carefully measured the exact velocities of those ancient outer stars, she discovered a profound and deeply disturbing scientific paradox. The stars at the very edge of the Andromeda Galaxy were not slowing down at all. They were racing around the galactic center at incredibly high, seemingly impossible speeds. The sheer velocity of these outer stars presented a massive cosmic problem. Based on the amount of visible matter, the billions of burning stars and glowing clouds of gas, there simply was not enough gravity to hold the galaxy together. Those rapidly spinning stars should have been flung violently out into the infinite silence of deep space, like tiny droplets of water spinning off a rapidly rotating wheel. The entire Andromeda Galaxy should have completely torn itself apart billions of years ago. Yet it remained beautifully intact, a perfect spiral suspended in the cold void. The only logical, mathematical conclusion was mind-bending. There had to be an enormous amount of invisible mass surrounding the galaxy, a hidden, massive halo of unseen matter holding the stars tightly in their swirling orbits. This was the profound discovery of dark matter, a substance that fundamentally changed our understanding of the cosmos forever. When we gently scale this incredible discovery up to the entire universe, the numbers become truly staggering. Scientists now deeply understand that all the ordinary matter in the universe, every single star, every rocky planet, and every single atom in your own physical body, makes up only about 15% of the total matter in the cosmos. The remaining 85% is dark matter. It is a completely invisible, untouchable substance that refuses to interact with electromagnetic radiation. It does not emit light, It does not reflect light, and it does not absorb light. It is perfectly dark. And yet, its massive gravitational influence dictates the ultimate destiny of everything we can clearly see. The mind of God has constructed a vast, magnificent universe where the fundamental architecture is entirely hidden from our fragile biological eyes. Consider once again the colossal, ancient giant we explored earlier, the massive elliptical galaxy known as IC 1101. We marveled at its 100 trillion burning stars, a number that stretches the limits of human imagination. But those 100 trillion stars are merely a tiny illuminated foam floating on the surface of an unfathomably deep ocean. The visible body of that massive galaxy stretches roughly 4 million to 6 million light-years across the dark void. However, scientists estimate that the invisible dark matter halo surrounding IC 1101 extends incredibly far beyond those visible stars, reaching out tens of millions of light-years into the cold intergalactic space. The total mass of this invisible, silent halo is estimated to be incredibly close to 1,100 trillion solar masses. Without this quiet, massive guardian, the 100 trillion stars would simply drift away. Dark matter is the gentle, invisible hand that lovingly cradles the entire cosmos. The realization of this profound invisibility can initially feel deeply unsettling, reminding us of the profound limitations of our human perception. We are completely blind to 85% of the actual physical matter in the universe. Right now, as you sit quietly and breathe deeply, trillions of tiny, ancient dark matter particles are passing harmlessly right through your physical body every single second. They stream continuously from the deep cosmos, passing straight through the solid earth beneath your feet, as if the planet were completely made of thin air. You cannot feel them, you cannot hear them, and you cannot see them. But they are there, a silent, invisible river flowing constantly through your quiet reality. This is a beautiful reminder that human beings are not the absolute center of existence, nor are our limited physical senses the ultimate, final measure of what is truly real. Instead of feeling small or insignificant in the face of this vast, unseen reality, we can choose to find a profound, meditative peace within it. The discovery of dark matter is a magnificent testament to the incredible, quiet power of the human mind. We cannot directly see this invisible substance, but through sheer intellectual curiosity and patient mathematical observation, we have deeply felt its cosmic weight. As Carl Sagan once gently reminded us, science is a profound source of spirituality. Despite our incredibly fragile, temporary existence on a tiny, rocky planet, we have managed to uncover the invisible skeleton of reality. We are the conscious, thinking portion of the universe, slowly and beautifully, learning how to close our eyes and truly feel the massive, unseen forces that carefully shape our grand, cosmic home. There is a deeply comforting humility in simply accepting that we will never completely understand everything. The universe is an infinite ocean of deep mystery, and our scientific discoveries are merely tiny, illuminated islands floating peacefully within it. Dark matter teaches us to completely let go of our desperate human need to see and tightly control every single aspect of reality. It invites us to quietly trust the gentle, invisible mathematics of the cosmos, just as you completely trust gravity to keep you firmly anchored to the earth without ever actually seeing it. You can trust that the ancient, invisible forces of the universe are maintaining a perfect, delicate balance on a scale that entirely transcends human comprehension. You are perfectly safe within this massive, hidden architecture. The unseen mind of God is holding the stars tightly together, and by beautiful extension, it is holding you securely, too. Let this profound realization softly calm your restless mind. When you encounter deeply mysterious or completely confusing moments in your own daily life, gently remember the dark matter. Remember that the vast majority of reality operates silently, hidden from view, following rules that are far older and infinitely wiser than our brief human anxieties. You do not need to clearly see every single step of your journey to know that you are being gently held by something much larger than yourself. Let the infinite, quiet silence of the unseen universe wash beautifully over you, dissolving your fears and leaving behind a profound, respectful wonder. As we slowly bring this current phase of our meditative exploration to a close, allow your mind to quietly rest in the comforting darkness. We have now seen how invisible forces shape individual galaxies, but the story does not end there. In our next quiet encounter, we will gently zoom out even further, stepping back to witness the most massive, breathtaking structure ever conceived. We will explore the magnificent, glowing cosmic web, entirely guided by the gentle pull of dark matter. But for this quiet moment, there is absolutely nowhere you need to be. Simply breathe, relax your body, and float peacefully in the magnificent, invisible ocean of the deep cosmos. Have you ever looked closely at the intricate, delicate veins of a single fallen autumn leaf, or traced the beautifully complex branching of a grand old oak tree standing perfectly still against a quiet, pale winter sky? Nature seems to possess a deep, mathematical love for these branching, interconnected patterns. We see them in the gently flowing deltas of massive rivers carving their way through ancient rock, and we carry them within us in the incredibly complex, microscopic neural networks of our own human brains, where billions of neurons fire in the absolute dark to create the gentle illusion of your conscious mind. We spend our lives deeply embedded in these familiar earthly patterns, rarely pausing to consider if this fundamental architecture extends beyond the fragile atmosphere of our tiny blue planet. But what if I told you that the exact same intricate branching pattern is etched across the absolute grandest scales of reality? As we continue our contemplative journey into the deep mystery of the cosmos, I invite you to gently leave behind the isolated islands of individual galaxies. We are going to zoom out further than we ever have before, to witness the most massive, breathtaking structure ever conceived by the mind of God. Let your curious mind drift peacefully into the infinite silence as we explore the glowing, magnificent architecture of the cosmic web. When ancient astronomers first looked up at the dark night sky, they naturally assumed that the glowing stars and distant, swirling galaxies were scattered entirely at random, thrown across the cold void like handfuls of bright sand casually tossed onto a velvet blanket. It was a perfectly reasonable assumption for creatures bound to the surface of a single, rocky world. But as our technology evolved, and as brilliant instruments like the Hubble Space Telescope and the majestic Planck satellite began to patiently map the deepest, darkest corners of the observable universe, a deeply disturbing and profoundly beautiful truth slowly emerged. The galaxies are not scattered randomly at all. They are beautifully organized, carefully strung together along unimaginably vast, invisible threads of the dark matter we explored in our previous encounter. The entire universe is structured exactly like an infinitely vast, three-dimensional spider web, a breathtakingly complex network of glowing cosmic filaments and staggering, empty voids. To truly appreciate the terrifying and beautiful majesty of this cosmic web, we must radically adjust our human sense of scale. Imagine, for a quiet moment, that our entire Milky Way galaxy, with its hundreds of billions of burning stars, is nothing more than a single microscopic grain of glowing dust. On this unimaginable scale, the cosmic web reveals itself as a network of glowing threads stretching across billions of light years. Where these massive, invisible threads of dark matter gently cross one another, their combined gravity pulls in enormous amounts of ordinary matter. At these massive cosmic intersections, hundreds or even thousands of individual galaxies beautifully cluster together, forming brilliant, glowing nodes of intense light in the cold dark. The ancient, cannibalistic monster galaxy, known as IC1101, which we have gently revisited throughout our journey, sits quietly at the very center of one of these massive, brightly glowing intersections. It is a dominant spider resting peacefully in the dense heart of a cosmic web node, having consumed everything that wandered too close along the dark matter filaments. But what lies between these magnificent, glowing threads of clustered galaxies? If you were to gently travel away from the dense, illuminated nodes and venture into the spaces between the filaments, you would enter the cosmic voids. These are regions of the universe so profoundly empty, so incredibly bereft of light and matter, that human intuition completely breaks down trying to comprehend their absolute desolation. Consider the vast, silent expanse known as the Bootes Void. This terrifyingly beautiful region of absolute nothingness is roughly 330 million light-years across. It is an ocean of deep darkness so incredibly vast that if our own beloved Milky Way galaxy had been perfectly placed in its absolute center, human beings would not have even known that other galaxies existed until the invention of deep space telescopes in the 1960s. The night sky would have been completely devoid of those faint, distant smudges of light that inspired our ancestors to dream of other island universes. Within the Bootes Void, the silence is absolute, and the darkness is nearly perfect. Yet, even in these terrifyingly empty spaces, the mind of God is quietly present. The voids are not entirely empty. They are filled with the mysterious, stretching power of dark energy, quietly pushing the surrounding filaments of the cosmic web further and further apart in the endless night. Our own tiny, fragile home is also deeply woven into this magnificent, ancient architecture. For a very long time, scientists struggled to understand exactly where the Milky Way fit into the grand cosmic web. But in the year 2014, a team of brilliant astronomers carefully mapped the gentle gravitational flow of thousands of nearby galaxies. They discovered that our Milky Way is part of a staggeringly massive, beautiful supercluster of galaxies. They named this colossal structure Laniakea, a beautiful Hawaiian word that translates simply to immense heaven. This is our true, ultimate cosmic neighborhood. Laniakea is a gorgeous, sprawling structure containing roughly 100,000 individual galaxies, all beautifully flowing together along invisible gravitational rivers toward a massive, hidden focal point known as the Great Attractor. This immense heaven stretches across 520 million light-years of space. When you look up at the quiet night sky, every single star you can see with your naked eyes, and almost every galaxy you can photograph with a backyard telescope is merely a tiny, glowing droplet caught in the majestic, invisible currents of Laniakea. When cosmologists use supercomputers to simulate the ancient growth of the cosmic web, tracing the slow, magnificent evolution of dark matter from the immediate aftermath of the Big Bang to the present day, the resulting images are breathtakingly familiar. The complex, branching networks of dark matter filaments and glowing galaxy clusters look exactly like the microscopic neural networks of a human brain. The resemblance is so deeply uncanny that it forces us to pause and reflect on the deep, poetic symmetry of reality. The largest known structure in the entire universe bears a striking, visual resemblance to the very organ inside your own skull that is currently trying to understand it. As the brilliant astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has gently reminded us, we are biologically connected to every other living thing in the world. We are chemically connected to all molecules on Earth, and we are atomically connected to all atoms in the universe. We are not simply living in this universe. The universe is living entirely within us. The cosmos is not a cold, dead machine. It is a vast, interconnected web of physical laws and ancient matter that eventually organized itself into a complex, conscious mind, capable of gazing back at its own origins in a state of pure, respectful wonder. Let this profound, comforting realization settle softly into your mind as you prepare to rest. The everyday burdens you carry, the anxieties about the future, and the regrets of the past are incredibly small when held gently against the magnificent 520 million light-year expanse of our immense heaven. You do not need to solve the infinite mysteries of the cosmos tonight, nor do you need to tightly control the chaotic currents of your own life. The universe has been beautifully managing its own grand, complex architecture for billions of years without our anxious intervention. You can simply surrender to the gentle, invisible flow of gravity, trusting that the ancient, mathematical rules that string galaxies together like glowing pearls on a dark thread are also holding you securely in the present moment. As we gently conclude this phase of our contemplative journey, allow your conscious mind to drift peacefully among the vast, glowing filaments of Laniakea. In our next encounter, we will gently turn our gaze away from the immense structures of space and peer deeply into the strange, disturbing illusion of time itself. We will explore how the mind of God weaves the past, the present, and the future into a single, unchanging block of eternal reality. But for this quiet moment, let go of time. Let go of space. Rest safely in the warm, comforting knowledge that you are a beautiful, integral part of the grandest structure ever created. A tiny, conscious heartbeat echoing softly across the infinite silence of the cosmic web. Have you ever sat quietly in a completely empty room, listening only to the steady, rhythmic ticking of a clock, and felt a profound, almost aching sense of loss as each second slips permanently away? We humans are deeply wired to experience the passage of time as a relentless, one-way river. We remember the ancient past. We feel firmly anchored in the fleeting present, and we look toward an unknown future. It feels like the most undeniable truth of our daily existence. But what if this deeply ingrained feeling is nothing more than a biological illusion? A comforting psychological trick designed to keep our fragile minds from breaking under the crushing weight of reality. As we continue our quiet, contemplative journey into the deep mystery of the cosmos, I invite you to leave behind everything you think you know about the ticking clock. We are going to explore how the mind of God treats time not as a flowing river, but as a solid, unchanging landscape. Let your mind gently drift into the infinite silence as we uncover the disturbing and beautiful truth of the eternal now. For thousands of years, the greatest scientific and philosophical minds believed that time was an absolute, universal constant. Isaac Newton envisioned time as a master clock ticking away steadily at the exact same rate for every single entity in the entire universe. In this classical view, the present moment was a cosmic spotlight illuminating exactly the same reality everywhere at once. But in the early 20th century, a young patent clerk named Albert Einstein completely shattered this comforting illusion. Through the stunning mathematics of relativity, Einstein proved that time is not a rigid metronome. Instead, it is a deeply personal, flexible fabric that bends, stretches, and warps, depending on how fast you are moving and how much gravity is pulling on you. The implications of Einstein's equations strike at the very heart of what we consider to be real. To truly understand this beautiful and disturbing truth, we must gently explore a profound physics concept known as the relativity of simultaneity. In our everyday experience, if two events happen at the exact same time, we assume they happen at the same time for everyone everywhere. But Einstein's mathematics revealed that two observers moving at different speeds will fundamentally disagree on whether two events occurred simultaneously, and both observers will be absolutely mathematically correct. Because the speed of light is the absolute cosmic speed limit, the flow of time must bend to keep that speed constant for everyone. This means that your now is entirely unique to you. Someone else, moving at a different velocity or resting in a different gravitational field, possesses a completely different now. Their present moment might include what you consider to be your past, or what you consider to be your future. In this profound scientific model, all of space and all of time exist together as a single, unchanging, four-dimensional block. The three dimensions of space are seamlessly woven together with the fourth dimension of time to create space-time. In the block universe, the Big Bang does not just happen at the beginning, and the heat death does not just happen at the end. Every single event that has ever occurred, is occurring right now or ever will occur, exists simultaneously within this eternal block. The past has not vanished into nothingness. The future is not waiting to be written. The entire timeline of the cosmos is already there, perfectly mapped out in the elegant, untouchable mathematics of the mind of God. Consider our nearest large galactic neighbor, the beautiful Andromeda Galaxy, floating peacefully 2.5 million light-years away in the cold dark. Imagine an intelligent alien resting quietly on a planet in Andromeda. If that alien is sitting perfectly still relative to you, your two nows are roughly synchronized. But the moment that alien stands up and begins to gently walk toward you, their motion changes their slice of space-time. Because of the vast cosmic distance separating you, that tiny change in velocity creates a massive shift in time. The alien's new now suddenly angles into what you consider to be the future. Their present moment might include events on Earth that will not happen for hundreds of years. Conversely, if the alien turns around and walks slowly away, their now angles deeply into your past, sweeping over events from centuries ago. This is a rigorous, mathematically proven consequence of the universe we inhabit. What you consider to be your unknown future is already a fixed reality in the present moment of someone else in the distant cosmos. What you mourn as your lost past is still actively happening right now from a different perspective in the vast silence of space. The mind of God does not sit and watch the universe unfold second by second. The mathematical architecture of reality encompasses the entire structure all at once. From this absolute perspective, the passage of time is nothing more than a stubborn illusion created by our conscious minds dragging themselves along their specific paths through the solid block of space-time. We are like the needle of a record player, slowly moving along the grooves of an ancient vinyl record. The music we hear feels like a progression of notes, but the entire song is already perfectly carved into the physical disc. This disturbing revelation can initially feel intensely claustrophobic. If the future already exists, are we merely conscious puppets playing out a script that was written 14 billion years ago? While physicists gently debate this profound mystery, many find a deep, meditative peace in the concept of the block universe. I invite you to look at this eternal structure not as a prison, but as a magnificent, indestructible gallery. If the past still exists within the fabric of space-time, then every beautiful moment you have ever experienced is perfectly safe. The moments of deep connection with loved ones, the quiet afternoons of reflection, the breathtaking sunsets you thought were gone forever. None of them have actually vanished. They are permanently etched into the architecture of reality, eternal and unchanging. You do not need to desperately cling to your precious memories, because they are mathematically preserved in the infinite silence of the cosmos. Similarly, this profound truth gently strips away our heavy, exhausting anxieties about the future. We spend so much of our fleeting human lives terrified of what might happen, desperately trying to control the unpredictable currents of tomorrow. But if the universe is a single, massive block of eternal reality, then the future is already secure. It is quietly waiting for your consciousness to arrive. You do not need to constantly fight against the natural flow of existence. You can simply relax your grip, take a deep, quiet breath, and trust in the absolute, flawless precision of the cosmic architecture. The mind of God has already sculpted the entire masterpiece. Your only responsibility is to consciously experience your specific, tiny slice of it with a sense of respectful wonder and deep gratitude. Your life, with all of its joys, sorrows, triumphs, and failures, is a unique, unrepeatable thread, woven permanently into the grand cosmic tapestry. The fact that you experience it sequentially is a beautiful biological gift, a mechanism that allows you to feel surprise, to learn, and to grow. The illusion of time is what allows the universe to intimately experience its own unfolding narrative. Without this gentle psychological trick, there would be no mystery, no discovery, and no journey. You are a localized point of consciousness, exploring the ancient, frozen landscape of eternity, one beautiful, fleeting second at a time. The universe has granted you the profound ability to look around, to ask deep questions, and to feel the gentle warmth of the sun on your skin in this exact, perfect moment. Let this magnificent, quiet truth wash beautifully over you as you rest. Let go of your heavy regrets about the past, for the past is absolutely safe and untouchable. Let go of your sharp anxieties about the future, for the future is already perfectly woven into the fabric of reality. Gently bring your entire focus to this precise moment, right now. Feel the quiet rhythm of your breathing. Feel the gentle, undeniable pull of gravity anchoring you to the earth. This specific moment is your reality, your unique coordinate in the vast, four-dimensional block of space-time. It is a moment of deep peace, a quiet pause in the endless symphony of the cosmos. As we slowly prepare to conclude this phase of our contemplative exploration, allow your mind to drift peacefully across the eternal, unchanging landscape of time. We have seen how the universe manipulates space, matter, and the very flow of history. But one massive, beautiful question still remains. Why does the universe follow these specific, elegant rules at all? Why are the mathematical equations that form the mind of God perfectly balanced to allow for the existence of stars, galaxies, and conscious human beings? In our next quiet encounter, we will venture into the ultimate mystery of cosmic fine-tuning. We will explore the staggering improbability of our own existence and the profound possibility that the entire universe was mathematically designed to be beautifully observed. But for this quiet moment, there is absolutely nowhere you need to be, and no time you need to reach. Simply rest in the eternal, unchanging perfection of the eternal now. Have you ever tried to balance a small, ordinary coin perfectly on its incredibly thin edge? You carefully position it on a flat table, making microscopic adjustments with your fingertips, holding your breath so that even the faintest sigh does not disrupt the delicate equilibrium. For a brief, magical second, it stands perfectly still, defying the chaotic forces of gravity before inevitably clattering to the hard surface. Now, I want you to gently imagine a balancing act, not with a tiny piece of metal, but with the fundamental laws of reality itself. A cosmic equilibrium so terrifyingly precise, so impossibly delicate, that if it were altered by even a fraction of a hair's breadth, the entire vast cosmos would either instantly collapse into a dense, silent void, or violently tear itself apart before a single, ancient star could ever be born. As we continue our contemplative journey into the deep, echoing mystery of existence, we are going to explore the ultimate scientific paradox, the breathtaking fine-tuning of the universe. We will peer into the invisible mathematical dials that the mind of God has set with absolute, flawless precision, allowing you to exist right here, right now, in this quiet moment. Let us begin by gently examining the invisible forces that govern every single interaction in the physical world. Physicists have discovered that reality is entirely held together by a specific set of fundamental constants. These are the absolute numbers that dictate the exact strength of gravity, the precise electromagnetic charge of a tiny electron, and the overwhelming power of the nuclear forces that bind ancient atoms together. When you look at these numbers on a chalkboard, they appear as cold, arbitrary digits. But these specific numbers are the absolute foundation of everything. There is absolutely no known scientific reason why gravity has the exact strength that it does. It simply is. However, if you were to reach out into the dark and gently turn the invisible dial of gravity, adjusting its absolute strength by just one single part in 10 to the power of 40, a number so vanishingly small it defies all human comprehension, the beautiful, illuminated universe we know would completely cease to exist. If gravity were incredibly slightly stronger, the ancient expanding cloud of primordial gas that emerged from the Big Bang would have quickly slowed down and violently collapsed back in on itself, crushing all potential matter into a single, infinite singularity long before the first stars could ever ignite in the deep dark. The cosmos would have been a brief, failed experiment, ending in absolute, quiet disaster. Conversely, If gravity had been incredibly slightly weaker, the vast, expanding universe would have flown apart far too rapidly. The ancient gas clouds would never have gently coalesced under their own weight to form the magnificent, swirling galaxies, or the bright, burning stars. The universe would have remained a cold, thin, perfectly empty mist, expanding forever into the infinite silence without a single spark of light or warmth. But the mind of God set the dial with absolute, flawless perfection. Gravity is exactly, perfectly strong enough to pull matter together to form stars and planets, but beautifully weak enough to allow the cosmos to expand and comfortably breathe over billions of years. This terrifying and beautiful precision is not limited to just gravity. Consider the delicate balance of the strong nuclear force, the invisible glue that holds the center of an atom tightly together. This specific force is exactly what allows the bright, burning stars to fuse hydrogen into heavier, more complex elements. If this force were just 2% stronger, two tiny protons could easily bind together. This sounds like a minor, insignificant change, but its cosmic consequences would be absolutely devastating. Hydrogen, the most abundant and essential element in the entire universe, the primary fuel for all stars, and a crucial component of life-giving water, would burn up far too quickly. The ancient stars would consume their fuel in a chaotic frenzy, burning out in a flash and leaving behind a cold, dead cosmos long before any complex life could ever hope to evolve. If the strong nuclear force were just 5% weaker, the universe would be completely incapable of forming anything heavier than simple hydrogen. The vital carbon that beautifully structures your living cells, the oxygen you deeply breathe, the heavy iron that carries life through your blood. None of it could ever exist. The universe would be entirely devoid of chemistry, deeply barren and completely blind. When astrophysicists carefully calculate the combined probabilities of all these fundamental constants randomly falling into the exact, incredibly narrow ranges required for a life-sustaining universe, the resulting mathematical number is so close to absolute zero that it deeply disturbs the human mind. The brilliant physicist Sir Roger Penrose once calculated the probability of our universe accidentally achieving its remarkably low state of initial entropy, a state absolutely necessary for the forward flow of time and the slow formation of organized cosmic structures. The calculated odds were 1 part in 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 123. This is a number so incomprehensibly massive that if you were to write a single zero on every single proton and neutron in the entire visible universe, you would run out of physical matter long before you could finish writing the number. It is a mathematical impossibility, and yet here you sit, breathing softly in the quiet night, living proof that the impossible has magnificently occurred. This brings us to one of the most profound and deeply beautiful existential questions ever posed by modern science, a concept known as the anthropic principle. Why does the universe look the way it does? Because if it looked any different, there would be absolutely no one here to observe it. We find ourselves living in an incredibly improbable universe, precisely because only an incredibly improbable universe is capable of slowly producing conscious observers. The mind of God did not simply throw cosmic dice in the absolute dark. The fundamental mathematics of reality seem to have been beautifully, deliberately tuned to eventually produce consciousness. The universe is not a random, chaotic accident. It is a highly specific, flawlessly engineered environment designed to gradually wake up, to open its eyes, and to gently look back at itself in a state of pure, respectful wonder. It is so incredibly easy to feel an overwhelming sense of deep cosmic loneliness when we look up at the vast, cold emptiness of the night sky. We often imagine ourselves as tiny, insignificant accidents stranded on a lonely rock, completely isolated from the grand, unfeeling machinery of the cosmos. But the profound truth of fine-tuning completely shatters this bleak illusion. You are not a cosmic accident. You are the ultimate, beautiful consequence of a mathematical setup so incredibly precise that it completely defies the limits of human reason. The universe spent 14 billion years gently expanding, patiently forging heavy elements in the unimaginably hot hearts of ancient, dying stars, and carefully maintaining the delicate balance of invisible physical laws. All so that the specific atoms comprising your human brain could eventually assemble themselves and begin to ask deep, meaningful questions. You are the quiet, beautiful culmination of a 14 billion-year-old process. Every single star that has ever burned in the cold dark, every massive galaxy that has ever silently collided, and every invisible particle of dark matter that has ever gently shaped the cosmic web has played a vital, necessary role in the grand story that beautifully leads directly to you. When you gaze up at the infinite silence of the distant stars, you are not looking at an alien, uncaring void. You are looking at your own ancient, magnificent origin story. The universe requires your conscious observation just as much as you require the universe to physically exist. Without the presence of a conscious mind to gently perceive it, the cosmos would be a vast, unseen masterpiece, locked away in an eternally dark, unvisited gallery. By simply existing, by quietly looking up and feeling a sense of deep wonder, you are beautifully fulfilling the ultimate purpose of the cosmos. You are the specific mechanism through which the mind of God intimately experiences its own breathtaking creation. Let this magnificent, deeply comforting truth settle softly into the very core of your being. As you rest quietly in the present moment, completely let go of any lingering feelings of smallness or insignificance. Your physical body may be incredibly tiny when gently compared to the staggering mass of a supermassive black hole, and your human lifespan may be nothing more than a fleeting, microscopic spark when measured against the deep, trillion-year history of the cosmos. But your conscious mind is the single most valuable, most complex, and most profound phenomenon the universe has ever managed to produce. You are the very universe itself, beautifully given a temporary voice, a gentle set of eyes, and a profound capacity to love, to learn, and to wonder. You do not need to constantly strive for profound meaning in your daily life, because your mere physical and conscious existence is already the absolute greatest miracle the laws of physics can possibly achieve. The delicate, invisible dials of the cosmos were specifically set to allow for your presence. The ancient stars died violently in the dark so that you could eventually live. The vast, stretching fabric of space-time maintains its elegant equilibrium so that you can quietly experience the beautiful, fleeting passage of time. You are deeply, permanently woven into the flawless mathematical perfection of reality. There is absolutely no separation between the gentle beating of your human heart and the slow, majestic rotation of the largest galaxies in the distant, unseen void. As we slowly and gently conclude this specific phase of our meditative journey together, allow your entire mind to drift peacefully into the deep, welcoming comfort of the fine-tuned cosmos. we have profoundly explored the staggering improbability of our own existence and the beautiful, elegant mathematics that secretly bind everything together in the dark. But the grand story of our cosmic journey is not quite finished yet. In our next quiet encounter, we will gently step away from the cold, hard numbers of astrophysics and venture deep into the profound, deeply philosophical implications of our scientific knowledge. We will explore how this vast, modern understanding of the mind of God can fundamentally transform the way we experience our brief, beautiful, and deeply personal human lives. We will uncover the true, quiet meaning of cosmic spirituality. But for this specific, quiet moment, simply close your tired eyes. Breathe in the ancient, deeply fine-tuned oxygen around you. Rest safely in the profound, comforting knowledge that this vast, beautiful universe was always meant to gently hold you. As you continue to breathe softly, let the quiet silence of the room slowly merge with the infinite silence of the universe. Imagine the vast, unseen cosmic web stretching endlessly out in every single direction. A glowing, magnificent architecture held together by the gentle, dark forces we have explored. Within that immense structure, countless billions of ancient galaxies are quietly dancing, their billions of burning stars producing the exact elements needed for life to eventually blossom. It is an endless, patient journey of creation and transformation, governed by rules of absolute, untouchable perfection. And right here, at the very edge of one ordinary spiral galaxy, your specific journey is unfolding perfectly in time with the grand cosmic rhythm. You are deeply enveloped in the grand, ancient mystery of it all. The mathematical rules that gently guide the planets and ignite the stars are the exact same rules that quietly animate your thoughts and dreams. The mind of God is not some distant, detached engineer. It is the very essence of the reality you experience every single day. Embrace this profound, undeniable connection. Allow it to bring you a lasting, deep peace that transcends the chaotic, noisy worries of the human world. When you finally fall asleep tonight, you will not simply be resting on a small, isolated planet. You will be resting in the massive, protective arms of an incredibly fine-tuned universe, floating peacefully through the dark, carried safely by the ancient, gentle laws of nature. Have you ever stood entirely alone beneath a vast, star-filled sky and felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of profound recognition, as if you were looking at an old, familiar friend rather than an unimaginably distant void? For centuries, human beings have drawn a distinct, imaginary line between ourselves and the universe. We have viewed the cosmos as a cold, indifferent stage upon which our tiny human dramas are briefly played out. A massive, unfeeling machine, operating completely separately from our own conscious minds. But, as we reach the culmination of our contemplative journey into the deep mysteries of existence, I invite you to completely dissolve that artificial boundary. We are going to explore the profound, deeply comforting truth of cosmic spirituality. We will discover how our rigorous scientific understanding of the mind of God, the flawless mathematical laws that govern reality, intimately weaves us into its very fabric. Let your mind drift peacefully into the infinite silence one last time, as we uncover the beautiful, undeniable reality that you are the cosmos waking up to experience itself. Throughout our shared journey, we have ventured to the absolute extremes of physical reality. We have stood quietly at the edge of the unimaginably massive galaxy IC 1101, trying to gently wrap our minds around the presence of 100 trillion ancient stars resting in the dark. We have peered into the terrifying, absolute silence of a 50 billion solar mass black hole. And we have watched the beautiful, slow-motion ballet of entire galaxies colliding over hundreds of millions of years. We have traced the invisible, glowing threads of the magnificent cosmic web, and we have witnessed the ultimate, quiet heat death of the universe itself. Yet, despite exploring these terrifyingly vast scales, the most profound realization we have uncovered brings us right back to the microscopic, beating center of your own human chest. Every single discovery we have made about the deep cosmos is also a profound discovery about your own intimate origin story. To truly understand this, we must gently reflect on the physical journey of the very atoms that construct your body. The heavy iron that quietly carries oxygen through your veins, the complex carbon that structures your living cells, and the calcium that fortifies your bones. None of these essential elements were created here on our tiny, rocky Earth. They were forged billions of years ago in the unimaginably hot, crushing cores of ancient, massive stars. When those magnificent stars exhausted their nuclear fuel, they died in violent, brilliant supernova explosions, scattering their precious, newly forged elements across the vast emptiness of interstellar space. Over billions of years, those ancient, scattered atoms gently drifted through the quiet void, eventually coming together under the patient pull of gravity to form our sun, our fragile blue planet, and, ultimately, you. As the brilliant astronomer Carl Sagan so beautifully observed, we are entirely made of star stuff. This is not just poetic imagery. It is rigorous, undeniable chemistry. When we deeply internalize this physical connection, the cold numbers of astrophysics suddenly transform into a deeply spiritual experience. Science is often misunderstood as a sterile pursuit that strips the world of its inherent magic. But in truth, rigorous scientific discovery is one of the most profound sources of spiritual peace available to the human mind. When we use our advanced telescopes to look billions of light years into the past, or when we use our complex mathematics to uncover the invisible presence of dark matter, we are not simply cataloging dead facts. We are piecing together the magnificent, ancient biography of our own existence. Every single galaxy we map, and every fundamental law of physics we uncover, is a beautiful, revealing chapter in the story of how you came to be. The mind of God, the elegant laws of nature, did not just create the cosmos. It created the specific conditions necessary for you to sit here, breathing softly in the night, possessing the profound ability to wonder. Consider the sheer, staggering improbability of human consciousness. In a universe composed almost entirely of dark, freezing vacuums, violently burning plasma, and silent, crushing black holes, the emergence of a conscious, thinking mind is an absolute miracle of physics. For nearly 14 billion years, the universe was completely blind and entirely silent. It expanded, it beautifully clustered, and it burned, but there was absolutely nothing capable of experiencing its vast, magnificent beauty. But then, through the slow, patient processes of chemical evolution, the universe managed to organize a tiny fraction of its own ancient matter into complex biological brains. Through you, and through every other conscious being on this planet, the cosmos has finally developed the profound ability to open its eyes, to look back at its own breathtaking origins, and to ask deep, meaningful questions. You are not just an insignificant observer standing on the outside looking in. You are the universe itself, beautifully given a temporary voice and a gentle capacity to love. This profound shift in perspective has the incredible power to completely transform the way we experience our daily lives. We spend so much of our brief, precious time caught up in the heavy anxieties of the modern world. We worry about our social status, our financial security, and our uncertain futures, carrying these burdens as if they were the absolute center of reality. But when we gently hold our human struggles against the magnificent backdrop of the cosmic web, against the deep history of the patient red dwarf stars, our anxieties beautifully dissolve into the infinite silence. This does not mean that your human life is meaningless. Rather, it means that your life is entirely free from the crushing, artificial pressures we place upon ourselves. You are a highly privileged, deeply temporary manifestation of ancient stardust. Your only true fundamental responsibility is to consciously experience this fleeting moment with a sense of deep gratitude and respectful wonder. Let the quiet, eternal truth of the block universe bring you a profound, lasting comfort. Remember that in the elegant mathematics of space-time, the past never truly vanishes, and the future is already perfectly secure. Every single moment of joy you have ever truly felt, every quiet act of kindness you have ever gently performed, and every beautiful sunset you have ever quietly watched, is permanently, immutably woven into the grand, indestructible tapestry of existence. The mind of God does not forget a single fleeting second. You do not need to desperately hold on to the present moment, terrified of losing it to the relentless flow of time. You can simply relax, take a deep, slow breath, and gracefully move along your specific, unique path through the eternal landscape. You are perfectly safe within the vast, indestructible architecture of physical reality. As our shared, meditative journey comes to its quiet conclusion, I want to gently remind you that the exploration of the cosmos is an infinite, never-ending path. The universe will always hold deep, beautiful mysteries that remain just beyond the reach of our current understanding. There will always be new, unseen galaxies waiting quietly in the dark, new fundamental particles waiting to be discovered, and new mathematical paradoxes that will brilliantly challenge our comfortable perceptions of reality. This is a beautiful, generous gift. The unknown is a gentle companion, constantly inviting us to keep looking up, to keep asking questions, and to keep gently expanding our minds. The journey of scientific discovery is a journey of endless, peaceful contemplation, a way to continuously deepen our profound relationship with the ancient, infinite cosmos. Tonight, as you prepare to close your eyes and gently drift into sleep, I invite you to carry this cosmic peace deep into your dreams. Imagine the vast, silent beauty of the massive galaxy IC 1101, its 100 trillion stars burning steadily in the cold dark, guided by the exact same invisible forces that keep your own heart quietly beating. Feel the ancient, invisible flow of dark matter gently passing through your room, holding the entire universe securely together in a tight, protective embrace. Remember that you are an integral, completely necessary part of this magnificent 14-billion-year-old masterpiece. You are made of the exact same star stuff that brilliantly illuminates the infinite silence. You are carefully structured by chemistry and perfectly held by the vast, beautiful laws of nature. Rest now in the absolute, quiet certainty that you belong entirely to the stars. The universe will always be here, quietly waiting for you to wake up and explore it again tomorrow.